the shock induction on it in a picture of Jesus with, bordered by stained glass, which obviously, the whole Jesus stained glass thing, that's like, bacon and eggs or peanut butter and jelly, they go together, Jesus and stained glass.
I'm Foulmouth. F you, motherfucker. Quack.
Howdy there, Marty here, and we're back in this video with potentially a quick one. Famous last words, right? Anyhow, we're going to be doing the I'll get around to it later prompt for this video. Should be a lot of fun. Honestly, this wasn't the video that I originally planned to do today. I just fell behind in some of my reading with, we just had the Thanksgiving weekend and work and life and busyness, and I've been getting my way through Lonesome Dove, which, quite frankly, that book is amazing. Also, before we get started, feel free to drop your answers to these prompts down below in the comments, even if you don't do YouTube videos, or maybe especially, actually, if you don't do YouTube videos, because I think that's a really cool way to be part of BookTube, is to share in the community. So let's get into all the questions. Question number 1, a classic book that you've been meaning to read forever, but haven't yet. For me, the first book that I thought of was The Divine Comedy by Dante. Dante Alighieri? I wasn't gonna actually attempt to say his last name because I figured I would botch the crap out of it. But anyhow, so I have this really beautiful Easton Press edition of the book. And this is a book that I have legitimately been meaning to read forever. Originally, I wanted to read The Divine Comedy. It was, for me, it would have been basically just post high school. And I'd started it. I got a whole 2 or 3 pages in, and I put it down, and it bested me, and I was like, I'll give out, I always fully intended to get back to it. I remember I kept a copy of it in my car for ages. I've heard this particular translation is somewhat mid. Like, I've heard that it's readable, but it loses maybe some of like the poetry from the original classic Italian. That's a lot of rambling for what should have been a quick answer. The Divine Comedy by Dante. Next up, a book on your shelf you haven't read. But I'm going to go with the fun one here. I'm going to go with Yes by Bryan Danielson / Daniel Bryan, formerly of the WWE. So this character's name is Daniel Bryan in the WWE, and then his actual name, though, is Bryan Danielson. So anyhow, so there you go. This is an autobiography. Basically, it's his journey from being an indie wrestler up to becoming the world heavyweight champion in the WWE. Pro wrestling is this like passion play of sorts, and it's actually its own beautiful art form at its best. Obviously, it's kind of a soap opera in a lot of ways too, of course, but at its best, it's a really good, legitimate art form that's not really comparable to anything else outside of maybe just theater in general. It's one of those funny things. It doesn't matter that wrestling's fake. The Avengers are fake. The X-Files are fake. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is fake. Most of the books we read are fake. Being fake is irrelevant. So anyhow, Yes by Bryan Danielson, because that's his real name. Next question, a book you've recently got but haven't read yet. And for me, I am going to pick one that I'm actually very excited to read. I just actually got this as a Black Friday pickup. I think the cover price is $17 on it, and I think I got it for like $8 or something like that. It's Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami. Haruki Murakami. Yes, I said it just badly enough that I felt self-conscious about it, so I re-recorded it. Yeah. I have not read any of his books, so I apologize if I totally botch his name. But yeah, Norwegian Wood. I'm really excited to jump in with a new-to-me author that writes really good, very digestible standalone reads, because those ultimately are the ones that I find to be the most fulfilling and get me really excited about reading, is just, chunking through like an author's catalog. I think that's really great. I think it's one thing that makes like Shakespeare super compelling as someone to get into, Apparently there's some degree of inspiration, at least in the terms of the title, because of the Beatles song Norwegian Wood, which is one of my absolute favorite Beatles songs. Very excited to read that one. Oh, also, I'm going to cheat a little bit. And by cheat, I don't think it's actually cheating, but I'm going to throw a couple graphic novels on my list. And that leads us to the next question. A book that you've had forever, but you haven't read yet. And my choice for that one is Sullivan's Sluggers by Mark Andrew Smith and James Stokoe. I picked up this book this graphic novel the day it came out. And honestly, forever might be a little bit of a stretch because I'm sure some people are going to have books in their responses that they've literally owned for 20 plus 30 40 years. I don't know, right? I've technically only had this one since 2018, but I literally got it the day it came out. What was that cartoon from the early 90s? Was it Monster League? It kind of reminds me of Monster League, but it's of course about a baseball team. I'm assuming it's about a minor league baseball team set in this really crazy weird world thing. There's like zombies and demons and stuff going on. And James Stokoe's art is absolutely amazing. He does this hyper detailed style. It's a little bit more subdued here than in some places. In particular, his Godzilla book is an absolute masterpiece. So I'll put a little shot of his Godzilla book. It's Godzilla and the Half Century War, which is basically, that book is about this man who's been basically hunting Godzilla for 50 years. But I do love his artwork. I love baseball, and it's standalone. It's super crazy, acid trippy, and I am excited to read it at some point. I just haven't gotten around to it. But doing this video is kind of a nice reminder for me to get back to chunking through my TBR for graphic novels. So yeah, Sullivan Sluggers by Mark Andrew Smith and James Stokoe. Next question, a book that a friend has recommended but you haven't read yet. And for this one, it's sort of borderline a cop-out because what I'm going to go with is Dune by Frank Herbert. I kind of think this one's a little bit of a cop-out because it's Dune. You know, like, it's such a famous book. It's such an important book in the scope of science fiction. And I do genuinely want to read it. This one was also gifted to me. This was my friend's personal copy. So, Crack, you know who you are. So thank you so much for this lovely gift. It's actually sort of cool. It's the first Putnam edition. Obviously, Dune is an incredibly important sci-fi book, you know, and it warrants reading regardless of a friend-specific recommendation. But I do really want to read it. So, Dune by Frank Herbert. Next question, a book that you're procrastinating on. It's a graphic novel, so it should be more digestible, or at the very least quicker than a lot of books, right? So it should be easier to get through. But this is something I'm procrastinating on in spite of the fact I absolutely love the artist who illustrated it. And that is The Ring of the Nibelung by P. Craig Russell. It's his adaptation of Richard Wagner's. Or Wagner? Wagner, probably right. Okay. Well, you roast me in the comments if you wish. Look at these end papers. Absolutely gorgeous end papers. The illustrations in this book are just absolutely gorgeous. P. Craig Russell is certainly a master storyteller in the comic space. I absolutely love his work. It like replenishes my soul. Just flipping through this book revitalizes me. At the same time, I also specifically fear it's gonna be just a hard read to get through. So I've been procrastinating on it. It's a legitimate answer, but this is one that I want to absorb at some point. But just owning it as an art piece is pretty worthwhile. Yeah. The Ring of the Nibelung. The next book on your TBR, and the next book on my TBR, is actually Shock Induction by Chuck Palahniuk. Those of you who have now watched a couple of my videos have probably stumbled across the fact I'm a really big fan of Chuck's work. Shock Induction was his new release for this year. He is quite prolific. This is the next book of my TBR, and to be honest, there are books that I'm probably more excited about reading than this one. But there's a video I really want to do for book 2. That's where we are, right? There's a video I want to do, and it requires me reading this book, and I haven't read it yet. It's this brand new one, just came out a few weeks ago, I think. It has this really nice, I guess, permabound is almost how you would describe it. I basically know nothing about this book. So from the inside flap of Shock Induction, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll read the first paragraph. I'm not going to read both of them, but this will give you a little bit of an idea what this book is supposedly about. Samantha Deal has always hit the books hard. Her curiosity and drive make her the perfect candidate for recruitment by Greener Pastures, a secret organization of billionaires on the hunt for the best and brightest teenagers. If only she's willing to abandon the life she's known. And given that Sam's life includes a creepy live-in uncle and parents more devoted to guzzling NyQuil than to raising their daughter, the proposition is pretty enticing. So yes, a very Chuck Palahniuk premise to this novel. And then the prompt has you tag a few other booktubers to do the same video, and I think I checked just to make sure. I don't think these people have done this tag yet, and Yeah, it'd be cool if they did. If they don't, that's okay too. No big deal. And yeah, here we go. Howdy again, Editor Marty here, and I'm jumping in really quickly because honestly, the next part where I recommend other channels, or I should say I tag other channels to do this challenge or whatever it's considered, I rambled enough that it went on way too long. So we're gonna do this really quickly. Anyhow, first one I am tagging is Read Write Reese. Really cool channel. Also new to BookTube. Very comforting, quaint, and enjoyable. Yeah, just a very thoughtful channel. Really enjoy it so far, so I'm tagging her. Next channel I am tagging is the Fat Cat Detective Agency. Really fun channel. I really enjoy them. I really like the longer format videos, which is funny because I do everything I possibly can to like not do videos that are like overly long, and it's funny because that's what I like to consume. Something worth thinking about. But yeah, anyhow, really enjoyed that channel as well. And the final one I am tagging is Bob's Books, aka Heroin Bob on the internet. Really awesome channel, really enjoy her. Predominantly book hauls, because she does some selling and reviews as well. Generally speaking, like kind of more vintagey sci-fi and fantasy. And yeah, I just like having a friend there to just talk at me. And that's how it feels. It feels like there's a friend just talking at me. And it's comforting, and I enjoy that, so tagging them as well. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for this one. I sure hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you'd like to see more from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. As I always say, it makes me feel like I accomplished something, but otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye.